Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to give you my top 10 tips to save on your grocery bill. All right, if you're new here, hi, I'm Claire, welcome. Come on in, make yourselves comfortable. Do you hate expensive groceries? Because I do. And let me tell you, they are getting so expensive right now, and I feel like it's only gonna get worse. And it's really been, you know, a struggle for a lot of people to kind of eat like we used to. I remember back in the day, I could really feed my family for not a lot of money, and now it's become kind of a burden, and yeah, it's not fun. So I thought I would share with you guys the top 10 things that I personally do, that I've done for years, and also a few things I've adopted recently since things have gotten kind of crazy, to kind of, you know, keep that budget under control when it comes to the groceries. Now, I won't waste your time chit-chatting. Let's just get right into this list. My number one thing I do is I utilize my food saver. Now, I know that this does require a bit of an initial investment, so I know that that's not gonna work out for everyone. However, you don't need to buy the Food Saver brand. That is like hundreds of dollars. You don't need that. I got a knockoff on Amazon. I paid something like $50 for it. And it came with the little like roll of baggies, but you can buy those for pretty inexpensively as well. Anytime I see anything that goes like crazy on sale, anytime I see that great little red sticker at Aldi that's like $2 off or 50% off on like chicken legs or anything like that, I come home, I portion them out, I vacuum seal them, and I throw them in the freezer, and they stay nice and fresh that way. And it's a really good way to utilize anytime you see anything on sale. You can make it last forever with the Food Saver. So if you have it in your budget, I definitely would recommend getting one. I use it all the time. And if you're not new here, if you are a loyal follower, then you probably immediately knew I was gonna say that, because I feel like I talk about my Food Saver all the time on this channel. All right, number two, and this one can be controversial. I know it's popular right now, but you gotta eat less meat. And I know that's hard for some people, but meat is so expensive. And most of the time, if you look at your dinner plate and your grocery bill, those big ticket items, it's meat. It's always meat that's like so expensive. So I'm not saying you have to become a vegetarian, which I was a vegetarian for many years, and I only recently started eating meat again. And I usually pretty much stick to poultry and seafood. However, maybe you're picking one night a week where you don't eat meat. Maybe you're only eating meat 2 or 3 times a week. Maybe you're only eating meat at dinner time and not for breakfast or lunch. There are lots of ways we can reduce the meat consumption without it, you know, being gone forever. You know what I mean? And that leads us into my number 3 tip, and that is to start recipes with these 4 core ingredients. Pick one or more than one, and that is beans or legumes. You know, we're talking lentils, chickpeas, everything in that family. Start with that, or rice, eggs, or potatoes. All 4 of these things are extremely affordable and have some solid nutritional value. Obviously, the beans and the eggs are gonna provide a lot more protein, but what I like to do, especially when we're running tight with our money, is I try to plan our meals that start with those things. So if, you know, eggs even now are a little bit more expensive than they used to be, I can still solidly find a deal of about $1.50 for a dozen eggs. We could have omelets for dinner, we could do a quiche or a frittata, and I kind of like build the recipe around the eggs. For potatoes, we do like a baked potato dinner. Like, it doesn't mean you don't have to eat meat. You could throw bacon on that, but it's a really good solid way to build a meal around. And beans are super great for you and so inexpensive and so versatile that it's a great building block for a good meal. So keep those 4 things on hand, pick them up when they're on sale, build your meals around those. My next tip is a brand new thing we just started doing, and that is we bought a meat bundle. Gosh, this is a very meaty list. It's all about meat. Anyway, so I've seen a lot of places offer meat bundles, even like Sam's Club and like big stores like that. However, I think that the best options, the cheapest options that you find are in your like mom and pop butcher shops and your small grocers. So not just like a specialty meat store, but like we have like this small neighborhood grocery store that does meat bundles, and their other groceries there are quite expensive. for all of like the name brand, whatever, it was like $17 for like a pack of paper towels. So I don't do like all my shopping at the small grocers because I can't afford it. However, they often have the best deals on meat bundles, and we got a bundle of 30 pounds of meat and it was $99. And I mean, 30 pounds, we have 4 people in our family. If we're eating meat every day, that's a quarter of a pound per person, and that's $100 a month for meat, which is actually a crazy good deal. And I really like there's a huge variety that we could choose from to kind of build our package. So ours has a little bit of everything. We've got like chicken quarters and ground sausage, and we also have bacon, pork chops, some chuck roast, like a variety. But most cities have a store that will offer you a meat bundle, and that can often carry you through a really long period of time if you have the freezer space, and save you a ton of money. I can't believe I've just been like starting meat bundles. Like, I should have been doing this the whole time. Number 5 is swap out some of your meat choices for cheaper and less desirable cuts. So I know that this is a bit, you know, if it's your taste, it's your taste. If it's not, I understand. I love a chicken gizzard. Gizzards are so good and so tender. If you know how to cook them, you have to simmer them for a long time, or I like to use my pressure cooker. I throw them in my Instant Pot, then it doesn't take very long. But I love a fried gizzard, or just like pan fried with some onions and garlic. Gizzards are so cheap, and if you can find a place that has them, like, I guess not every grocery store is gonna have gizzards, but like less than $1 a pound, and they are super rich in protein, really good for you. Also, if you're into livers, liver is often a lot cheaper, or even hearts. Sometimes I get like a pack that'll have like chicken gizzards and chicken hearts in them, and like organ meat is like really, you know, good for you and just super cheap. So if you are comfortable cooking with that kind of stuff, or maybe if you never have, maybe give it a try. You maybe have an idea in your head of like the liver of your grandparents, you know, how they would cook it, and maybe it doesn't need to be like that. I would definitely look on YouTube and find like some great recipes, and maybe get a little creative with these, you know, different types of meat. If you're not into the organ meat though, if you go for like a stew meat with beef instead of like, you know, a big roast, like that often is a lot cheaper. Also, swapping out beef for chicken is always cheaper. Chicken is usually the cheapest. And also swapping out your ground beef for ground turkey. It's not always cheaper depending on the variety that you're buying, but I find that like the frozen 1 pound like tubes of ground turkey is always like at least half the price of its ground beef counterpart. So for meatloaf, meatballs, burgers, stuff like that, even like taco meat, swap it out for ground turkey. Maybe not every time, but once in a while, it'll save you a couple bucks. And yeah, get creative with your meat selection. My next tip is grow something if you can. Now I realize that this comes from a big place of privilege because I have the space to grow things, and not everybody does, or if they live in a climate, in an apartment building. And also I know that to make a really like big, impressive garden that will like feed you all season, that does cost money, and it takes a lot of time, and not everybody has that, and I totally understand that. But I do think that even if you just have a windowsill or a balcony, there are lots of things you can grow that don't require a lot of money to be put into it to start it. You don't have to have a big garden bed with compost that you purchase and stuff. So a few things that I think you should be growing, first of all, are potatoes. Not only are they affordable to buy, you could just buy potatoes that are affordable, but they're so easy to grow. The ones that I'm growing right now, I actually purchased some seed potatoes from a garden center. They were like $8 a pound, so kind of pricey. But I wanted to do an experiment, so I actually then bought a $4 bag of organic fingerling potatoes from Aldi, and the kind that you would just eat, not that are like made specifically for seed potatoes. And they are growing better than any of the seed potato varieties that I grew. So you can just use produce that you buy right at the grocery store to grow potatoes. And I'm actually growing them in laundry baskets that I got at Dollar Tree, so it really cost me hardly anything. I just used topsoil that I got for like $2 a bag. I did throw a little fertilizer in there because topsoil doesn't really have any nutrients in it, but overall it was a very small investment. They grow in these nice little containers, so if you have a balcony, you can throw potatoes on your balcony, and they are the gift that keeps on giving because, I mean, depending on the weather you're working with, you can then use a few of the potatoes that you grow to plant again and just keep going and going. So that's a really economical plant. Also check out in your area if there is a community garden, because a lot of places, apartment complexes or community centers, will offer plots, and that's actually like a really cool idea. Also, most libraries have seeds that you can have. They have like a seed library in all of the libraries in my area, and you can go and each family can get like 3 packs of seeds. Obviously it depends on the time of year, but a lot of those things are available to kind of cut down the initial investment into a garden. I also especially love that the gardening community, if you get on Facebook and you find a local community of your, gardening friends, people will share advice, tips and tricks. They'll share their plants with you. People are usually really cool. Like the gardening people are usually really into helping each other out in the sense of feeding the community, donating your surplus, and we have found that it's been really helpful to us to find people to trade with. Actually, our next door neighbor, they have these beautiful zucchini plants, and we've been trading them cucumbers and quail eggs for zucchini, which I think is so cool. So, think outside the box when it comes to growing things. It might not be exactly the idea you had in your head with, the wooden boxes and a irrigation system. It doesn't have to be that way. My next tip will not surprise you if you watch me, and that is you gotta shop at Aldi. And I know not everyone has an Aldi, and I feel so sad for you if you live in a region without an Aldi. Honestly, my biggest dream in life is for Aldi to sponsor me, even though they obviously don't need to because I constantly am making Aldi content for free. But anyway, I love Aldi. Love it, love it, love it. It's the only place I basically shop. Every once in a while I'll need to go somewhere else to get something that Aldi doesn't carry. But man, I go to Aldi every week, and I have been for a decade probably or more. One complaint I do hear about Aldi is that their produce goes bad really quickly. I like to think that's because it's super fresh and that they don't use like a ton of preservatives. So you do need to plan ahead, Don't think you're gonna go to Aldi and buy a month's worth of produce that day. That's a bad idea, but generally, love it. The best store ever. All right, my next tip for you guys is about food waste. I was finding that I was having food that was going bad, and then every once in a while I'd go through my pantry. We also have a little pantry in our basement where we store our surplus food, and I would go through it a couple times a year, and I'd be like, oh darn, like this expired and I didn't use it. So I found an app, and like this isn't sponsored or anything, this is an app that I just like looked up, and it's called Pantry Check. And it's this great app where you can scan the barcode of an item, you put in the expiration date, and then it catalogs all the food that you have in your house, and it will give you alerts when things are getting close to being expired. And honestly, like it's not gonna save you a ton of money just having this app. However, if you are throwing food away, then that is wasting your money, and that's ridiculous. You definitely don't wanna just be throwing food in the trash can in 6 months, So I have really found this to be super helpful. It'll be like, ding ding, oh, these peanuts are gonna expire. So then I'm like, all right, peanut chicken tonight for dinner. And I found it to be very helpful. So if you're not into the app or whatever, organize your pantry in a way where the things that are gonna go bad are in the forefront, and maybe organize them by date. Also, a thing that I've seen people do is having a specific bin in the refrigerator where they put like the refrigerated items like veggies and stuff like that that are about to go bad in the bin to use first, just so that anyone opening up the fridge, it's right there. It's not like in a sneaky drawer rotting away somewhere. I feel like we've all had that time where we pull out like a bag of like cucumbers and it's just like liquid in there. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know. My number 9 tip for you guys is all about being prepared. We're gonna start off by meal planning. Meal planning, seriously, you gotta do it. It doesn't take too long, and once you get in the swing of things, it really makes a difference in your grocery bill. I have a video, it's super old. It's like from the beginning of my YouTube journey, but it's a quite popular video of mine where the method I use is I go through my refrigerator and my pantry. I now use the app. It makes it very simple too to kind of see what I have. And I try to build meals first with the things I already have. And I write it all down, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, what we're having for dinner. And then I make my shopping list next to it to just fill in the blanks. Oh, if we're gonna have lasagna this day, I'm gonna grab like a bag of Caesar salad. Or this day we have all the ingredients to make quesadillas, you know, Tuesdays taken care of. And then my shopping list is like made at the same time as I make the meal plan, utilizing as many ingredients I already have as possible. And that way my shopping list is usually quite small, and it just makes it so we don't like waste anything, and we don't buy any like super unnecessary things or like things that are gonna go bad because there's too much of it, or you know, all that stuff. So planning ahead, meal planning is really a key for me, at least, in keeping the budget, you know, tight, not buying extraneous things. In that same vein as meal planning, we have meal prepping, and we also have like ingredient prepping. If you're the type of person who like works a long day and gets home and like doesn't want to fart around with it, that's when you're gonna order takeout. That's when you're gonna get a pizza or whatever. You need to think ahead of those things. And if you're not someone who wants to like spend a Sunday making all your meals for the week, at least like chop up your onions, you know, chop up all of your veggies for the week, or you know, maybe saute all of your chicken and put it in a container and just have it there to use for a variety of things. I think anytime that we can prep something to make it easier, we are way more likely to use it and not throw it away and not order a pizza. All right, next, this is like tip 9.5 because it's not on my list, but now I'm saying it out loud. You need to hear it. So also anticipate some of your like snacky and needs like that throughout the week, because I think it's easy if you're on a really strict budget, you go to the store, you only buy what you need, and then you get home and you're like, there's nothing to eat. Like, I know we've all been there, right? So if you have a habit of like Monday having a rough day, you always wanna like watch TV and eat a pint of Ben & Jerry's, you know, whatever, that's fine. But if you're going on to like Uber Eats, or you're doing like GoPuff and you're paying like $20 for a pint of ice cream, like, it's okay if you wanna eat an extraneous thing. It doesn't always need to be bare bones food, but just know yourself enough to know that you're gonna GoPuff. You're gonna do it. So just buy the Ben & Jerry's at the store and save yourself like, I don't know, $16 in delivery costs, you know? Or better yet, get the Aldi version that's like $3 a pint. You can anticipate some of those more fun sort of needs. I like to keep some frozen pizza dough in anticipation for nights where we just want pizza. You just anticipate some of those things that maybe seem a little extra, you know? Keep some popcorn on hand. If you're a person who likes a drink and you know, don't go to the bar, get a beer from the fridge, you know? Anticipate some of those things. All right, and my number 10 tip is to shop weekly. I know like this is a little bit, you know, going against some of the other things I said, like buying a meat bundle. Obviously, there are some things you don't need to buy weekly. Obviously, the meat bundle, we're gonna see how long it lasts us, but because I don't eat a ton of meat and my children, you know, they eat a bit of meat, but like my kids wouldn't eat like a steak or something. So I think that our meat bundle is gonna last us a pretty long time. So obviously there are things that you do buy in bulk or in advance and stuff like that, but generally, shopping every week is really good because it's much easier to plan. Back to the meal planning tip, it's much easier to plan 1 week in advance than trying to plan like a whole month, especially because things happen. There's nights where you forgot to throw whatever in the crock pot, or somebody was late because of this, or we were on the road for too long, we got stuck in traffic, like things happen. Trying to plan an entire month in advance or 2 weeks, I think is just too much. And if you shop weekly and on a schedule, you buy way less like unnecessary food that's gonna go bad. It reduces the food waste, and it definitely makes the budget more manageable. And always, this is another bonus one, I don't do this now, but back when money was really super tight for us and we really had to budget every dime that we had, I stuck to a strict budget every week, and I only used cash, and I had a calculator with me at the store. And by using cash, I didn't have like an American Express to like whip out just in case. It kept me from buying things that we didn't need. So if you're really in a pinch, definitely budgeting your groceries with cash is a really good way. But it's easy to do it weekly and not buy a bunch of extra stuff that you think you might need, but then you find out a month later that you really don't. All right, so those are my top 10 grocery tips. I probably have like a million more, like little ones here and there that I could probably give you, but those I think are like pretty good. And these are things I absolutely really do in my real life and have for many, many years. I hate spending boatloads of money on anything. So for sure, food is becoming kind of complicated now, trying to deal with that price increase. So I hope that you guys are getting through these awful prices. Hopefully it's not gonna get worse, but it might. So hopefully you guys can use some of these tips. I would love to hear any of your additional tips down below, so everyone in the comments can read them and swap ideas and stuff, because of course I want everyone to save as much money as possible and not have their groceries be a total burden. Of course, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I love budget content and I have a ton of it on this channel, including like grocery hauls, thrifting, budget recipes, stuff like that. So be sure to do that if you didn't already, and of course come on back for more, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.